Welcome back. You here with Goldberg. Today I'll be talking about the events of the weekend and also Monday. My voice is a little modified because I had dental work without anesthesia. It was somewhat excruciating, but I'm a red pill alpha male, masculine, maintaining frame, and I'm currently doped up, so there's that factor as well. I didn't want to give extra cash to the medical establishment because I'm a populist. So, just to start, let's get a few things out of the way because I think there's bad information. This is why I hesitated to make the video because I didn't want to be harping and promoting something that's not true. I do see, as of this time, Rolly Tomaso doing a live stream about this kid being an incel, and I was thinking, well, Rolly, given his marriage, would be an expert on that, so he can definitely tell because he, shares that condition. But Thomas Matthew Crooks. So it's almost like they're telling you, yeah, it's an actor, it's a crook. And on top of that, you have the guy behind Trump, you're fired. I mean, that's probably nothing. Now, I kid you not, I was driving home today and this thing pops up from Amazon. Here's a deal you might be interested in. It's a book called Don't Be Afraid of the Bullets. What are the odds of that? Now, maybe I clicked on it in the past, it was in the history, and so it just recommended, but there's kind of little things there. There is purported to be a TikTok of him screaming at Republicans, but some people were claiming that was from years ago, different person, West Coast. And then the America Fisters were sharing something about him being a Care Bear. I looked at the link. It appeared to be some content farming website. The author was a random Pooja, so I'm going to guess that's not true, especially because his classmates at high school mentioned he was interested in enlisting the military to pay for college. Now, if he came from a Care Bear family, that's highly unlikely, unless they're normie, lower middle class. He would have other routes, I imagine. He was a smart kid. He was into science and mathematics, so I highly doubt he would have been reliant on the military to get an education. So this has been confirmed that he was in a video of BlackRock Financial Education filmed at his Bethel High School. Does that, amount to something? Could be. I really don't know, but we'll include it just for the meme. Apparently, there was a lady who recognized him and may have called out. I heard of a clip of that nature, have not seen it, but he was pointed out to police. Now, to scale this roof, not that difficult to do. You've got ladders, you have the AC ducts on the backside of the structure, and supposedly a local PD did confront him, but then the kid turns his weapon on the officer, and the guy tried to back down the ladder and essentially almost fell off. Other reports say he didn't have his service weapon. Did he drop it, or was he an auxiliary police? But if that's the case, he shouldn't have been the first one going up there. You imagine, at bare minimum, he would have fired off some rounds into the ground, gotten on the radio, said Mayday, but perhaps they were not in the same frequency as the SS. I don't know how that works, so it remains a question for discussion. This roof, given the temperature of that day, would have been scalding hot, and he's in t-shirts and shorts. So I'd imagine he was burning up if he didn't have a pretty decent mat or blanket to lie on. And reacting to the fact that someone had found him out if he was rushing, it's a very real phenomenon. Even if you're decent with firearms, which apparently he was not because he got rejected from the shooting club, you're going to have a tendency with adrenaline to start anticipating recoil, which makes you less accurate. Or if you start mashing the trigger, wrapping your finger around it, it's going to tend to go to the left. So it legit could have just been a rando who tried it and failed. Now, obviously, people go, why was that rooftop not covered? How was someone able to access it? These are legit questions, don't get me wrong. I am totally open to him being a MAGA Kilo uniform ultra individual, but I'm not going to totally dismiss the possibility it was some guy who managed to get in there somehow. Were they actually wanding every person? Was there a way, if you went through the industrial park, to kind of sneak in? Was it totally fenced off? It's difficult to tell. Even here, we have a kind of better look at it. I could see someone potentially doing that if you don't have heavy police presence. And it seemed as though some individuals had just kind of come up from a distance and were watching it from afar. So we may never know. This independent investigation, yeah, there'd probably just be house cleaning. Beyond that, we have these snipers and people saying, why didn't they respond sooner? Weren't they dialed in? It would be difficult for me to tell without having a camera footage behind them up high to see exactly how the timing went and were they in fact trained on him. So some people try to zoom in and they claimed he's got a Kabbalah bracelet, so he's an evil Care Bear. And then there was some green text from 4chan where he's going, I was given a order by the director of the Secret Service to stand down, but I violated that and took him out, and I was arrested by the FBI and lost my job. Okay, so why would you not be going to TikTok or YouTube or the media as opposed to 4chan? This is the type of trust the plan manipulation, in my opinion, that is just trying to mislead people. We'll talk about that later on. I know, for instance, that Brother Amr says this is all Trump's doing. It was all made up. The blood is fake. I'm not certain of that, but I think it's part of a much larger narrative, and we'll discuss that, like I said, towards the finish of this segment. What was going on with the SS agents, like when they were trying to get him off the stage. But the one reason I'm kind of sympathetic to Brother Amr is because who the hell is targeted for an assassination and says stop and begins shaking their fist, fight, 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 like it's this iconic, almost it was planned to be that way. I'm not saying it is, but uh, I'm not also dismissing the possibility. This is a little bit of a sideshow, but a lot of these conservatives were going, it's divine will, protection, that's why Trump survived. And Ricardo Spencerito says, was it cruel of Jehovah to kill the innocent bystander, that being the Italian guy Corey? And of course, the responses are, Reddit atheist, low IQ, we don't have to waste our time with those responses. But I wish people would stop trying. I understand that it's your first indication. I'm not sure. Maybe it was divine intervention. I'm saying I don't like this tendency because when you say something of that nature, that God intervened to protect Trump, but this firefighter dude who seemed like a swell human being, as far as we know, gets killed, you go, okay, well, it was his time. When your time comes, well, what about so the kids in Uvalde? Well, that was their time. That was just part of the plan. I just wish people would shut the hell up, okay? Could it have been random? Could it have just been because he turned his head? Was there an angel there? I don't know. But this type of framing is just, I think it's a really bad taste. It shows a lack of sensitivity for people that have actually lost their lives in these mass casualty events, which thankfully the rally was not one of them. There are a number of different theories as to why someone might have attempted to remove Trump, and I don't typically counter-signal Catboy, although I will say, historically, organized political Catholicism has been a disaster. It always devolves into senseless paranoia and really self-destruction. Here, after claiming maybe a week or so ago that Trump is a turbo Zionist, he's going, well, Trump's just a basic Zionist. And this was most sad because Netanyahu is scared that Trump will make the Gaza war end and then Netanyahu will go to prison. So they want Nikki Haley instead. Okay, there's no basis for this whatsoever. Trump was the most pro Care Bear president we've ever had. He did whatever they wanted. He wrote the check. He pardoned Care Bear criminals. He gave them the territorial concessions they desired. He's been looking for Adelson's money to annex the West Bank. That's kind of the exchange, supposedly. I don't see any indication that he's actually against this. So, but this is the beauty of Trump. Trump is whatever the person wants him to be. To the leftists, he's this extreme dictator who's going to take over and put them in camps. To the, patriot conservatives, he's just trying to restore the Constitution. To the identitarians, he's actually on the side of the cream cheesers. To the Care Berries, he's like, they literally treat him like a god because of all the stuff he's done. And this was the mistake with the DeSantis people, such as Pedro Gonzalez, who seems like a decent individual with some form of ethics, to a degree at least. You can't argue against Trump by saying, look at his actual record, because it doesn't matter if his record is actually pro-establishment. They'll just say, you're a liberal. Oh, yeah, you're a neocon. They don't have the mental capacity. The average Trump cell will not actually look at facts. They will continue recycling the idea that he's this outsider who's fighting the system, no matter what he does in favor of the system. And this is the reason, why would you take out your ally when he's doing what you want? He's so useful to the Care Bears. The next 4 years, there's a lot of stuff he'll do. JD Vance is like turbo Care Bear guy. He's got a Pooja wife, so there's no question that this is definitely in the bag. I don't know why people keep trying to make these silly arguments. And if this was Mossad, I will link to a great book, Rise and Kill First. This has none of the indications of being Mossad. It was a very sloppy setup. Mossad would have done this. You probably wouldn't even know. And more than likely, Trump would have been 6 feet under if it was Mossad. So I just think that this is a typical, there's got to be a Care Bear somewhere. Everyone wants to do that, but they often make clowns of themselves in the process. Here we have Troy Francis. I don't know why you Americans are so obsessed with guns. You can just run game on your enemies. Yeah, that's pretty good. By the way, apparently J.D. Vance was on a show with Jack Murphy. It all comes together, folks. It all comes together. And then he names his kid Vivek, I guess after Vivek Ramaswamy. They all went to school together. Some people were saying Vivek might have been smashing J.D. Vance's wife before they dated. This is all a massive cabal. This is going to be the new America. Just pointing it out. Martyr made here is equally entertaining. A warning for American patriots, the regime media, and political establishment. Today was your last chance for an off-ramp. Take it and back the F off. Second Amendment protects first, bro. Stop pushing. Stop pushing. This is just classic. They've been discussing overthrowing the government since the 90s with Billy Boy Clinton. Nothing's happened. Remember that J6 cop? He goes, oh, if you come for me, I'm going to go down guns blazing. He's sitting in a federal prison cell. It's easy to talk a bunch of smack at your gun club with your conservative drinking buddies or on the interwebs. It's different when you realize I have to give up my life. Is your life worth all that stuff? And look below him, Cohen says, and a warning to patriots. Anyone trying to talk you into doing something illegal now is a Fed. Precisely. You know, so talk a big game, don't do anything about it. Romulus goes, fundamentally, this is exactly what happens each and every time. And think about it. You're claiming that the deep state took out or almost took out your guy. And all you're going to do is sit back and be like, stop pushing, stop pushing. I'm telling you, it's just nothing actually stops. I would be willing to bet, even if Trump had been taken out, these people would still be talking about, oh, the day is coming, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. It's just the normal, and nothing new to see here. Now we have Six Hexen Hammer's YouTube comment section. His video was, all right, everyone, Deep State tried to eliminate Trump and screwed up bigly. Top reply, those three-letter folk aren't sending their best anymore. DEI hires. Durr. So this is classic conservative mindset. On the one hand, and leftists do it too, but just allow me to make a point. They start talking as though their opponents want to kill babies, do child sacrifices, spirit cooking, LGBT grooming, start wars just to eradicate Slavic Christians. They're immensely corrupt individuals. They will do whatever is necessary. And yet, they're also Scooby-Doo antagonists. Oh, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for your meddling MAGAs. This is illogical. If you want to actually claim these things about your opponent, then you should be able to assume they're capable of doing things right. They're not going to send in 400-pound tactical Shaniqua or some random soy jack who's mentally unstable. They're going to do this with professionals. But it doesn't make any sense. Why would you create a JFK-style event on live television? That's going to get the independents, the normies thinking, okay, something's up. Why is a president who's probably one of the most guarded people in the world, period, being targeted in such a fashion? What would make more sense is you spike his Diet Coke, or he has a massive heart attack, he's an old guy. More people would be put to sleep because, yeah, he's getting up in years. This is about, they've been suffering a legitimacy crisis since 2020, if not more in the past. And they need to get the boomers, they need to get the moomers and the Gen Xers back believing that they actually have sovereignty with their votes. This is why I think it's part of this organized political theater. It's about trying to get people to just relax, stop having crazy thoughts, and just do what you're told. Think about it for a second. So 2020, Trump loses the election. They said it would stop the steal. Trump, we know, accepted he had lost, but he wanted to play along with it because he could fundraise, and it gives him that whole image of, oh, he's fighting the power and everyone's turning against him. Biden is protecting soy democracy. But slowly, Trump is rehabilitated into this anti-establishment guy as though he was never president. He was never in charge. He never did anything. He's always just been persecuted by the higher-ups. But have they really been doing that in the legal system? I know you're going to say, oh, of course they have. Wait a second. So, hoedown, throwdown. A lot of these people are being jailed very shortly. And yet Merrick Garland dragged his feet when it came to Trump. To actually appoint this special counsel took forever. At this stage, we got the Georgia investigation where they had him on tape saying stuff that some juries would have convicted him on. It's going to be delayed till next year. the New York hush money, he was convicted, but for some reason they're going to say, oh, we're going to wait to actually sentence until September because of the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling on official acts has nothing to do with him being a candidate. But he's still getting all these freebies, all these delays, all these advantages that most people don't get in the legal system, by the way. You have the J6 case, which the wind was taken out of the sails with that ruling by the SCOTUS, and Aileen Cannon torpedoed the classified documents case, which is another one they have considerable evidence against Trump because of the process. So they go, okay, it can be appealed up to the Supreme Court. Even if the Supreme Court sides with Trump, then the U.S. attorney can still prosecute him in Florida. Well, who's going to be controlling the appointment of the U.S. attorney come next year? So, in other words, the system that's supposedly trying to destroy Trump has been basically helping him get elected. That's a question I'd like to hear people answer. Oh yeah, it's all against Trump. Well, why are they giving him so many advantages? If this was all deep state, then these conservative justices would be putting him on the road to get incarcerated. He would have probably already been jailed July 11th. Most of this is pointing to he's being coordinated to be the next president. Just like this event, if it's part of the narrative, which I tend to believe it might be, it's even more so. Oh, they tried to take out Trump. Oh, that means the establishment is really against him. And that's going to get all these folks, these boomers, a lot of millennials, even a lot of Gen Xers. Okay, my vote matters. We can take back in MAGA. The fraud, the whole meme about stop the steal is going to disappear if he wins this election. It's not going to be discussed any longer because it's not relevant. So let me know what you think. Was this done by foreign actors? It's another possibility. They just want to stir up trouble. Was it a rando? Is it just political theater? I'd like to hear your thoughts.